Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Give it a second here. All righty. What is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we are here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform in front of a live virtual audience. I am your host, Steve V. This is episode 551 alongside Teddy Alexis. How you doing, Teddy?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Really, really good. Great to see your face. Glad you can be here tonight. Giving Kodi a little break there.
Yeah.
How have you been? What has been going on? What can you share?
I can share a couple of things. So I just had my 42nd birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Wow,
you,
that's
my
awesome.
Pisces. Yeah.
Nice.
And I had my first encounter with a side for the first time during my
Really?
celebrations.
Break it down. So, did you know ahead of time or how did this come about?
No. Okay, hold on. So I we went to the arcade because I'm a kid at heart, and
I love
then we
it.
decided to go to the Bullet. Have you heard of it? It's in North Hollywood.
Oh, no. Shoot, I missed it when I was there.
You should try it because now they have like a dark room. It's kind of like improvised, but it's getting a lot of good reviews. Let's just say that. So I was there with a couple of my besties, and then I started talking to this guy the whole night, and he just flirting, having a good time.
Sure.
And then he was like touching my chest, saying that he liked my chest, and I was like, you know, she's feeling cute. It's my birthday, and then
Right.
he asked me, "Do you know what I am?" And
You're like, besides cute and sexy and flirting with
yeah,
me on my birthday.
I don't, and also we're just flirting, right? I don't need to know if you're like a top or a bottom or anything like that. He was like, I'm a side. And
Oh, wow. Adamant about it. Okay. I
yeah,
like that.
and he's like, do you know what that is? And I'm like, I absolutely know what that is.
Thank you so much.
I am a part-time co-host of a CES podcast. Excuse me, sir.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think he was a little nervous about it. I was in that was like the vibe that I was getting, like that he wanted to put it out there really early since it was like our first encounter. We've been texting back and forth, but yeah, it was interesting. We haven't had an encounter yet, if that's the next
Okay. So you
question.
didn't. It was just you kind of got that out of the way early on, and then, or he did. And
Yeah.
then, okay. Did you tell him that you had no problem with it or that it was a problem or?
What I said, it was like, let's see where it goes. I like to, back in the day, we didn't used to tell each other if we were tops or bottoms. We were just
Right.
like, encounter each other and see what happened. And our tendencies most of the times were satisfied, right? So um I'm taking this as projects and see what happens.
I
So I'll
like
report
that.
back.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. No, I feel the same way. A lot of sides often feel they need to get that out there because we don't talk about it enough. We're
Mhm.
certainly trying to do it on our show. So I think
Right.
that's really good, but I hear you. Well, I am back in New York, and Cody, by the way, has the night off. We miss
Mhm.
him. He might be tuning in. I don't know, but
I already see him in the
you see him
list.
there? I hope he is watching. He's welcome to come up on stage if he wants to. But uh, I am back in, one of the things I've been doing is taking Class Pass, and it's been going great, but I've become a gym whore here
Oh.
yeah, in a good way, I think,
Mhm.
because how you're fresh meat when you go to a new gym. Well,
Right,
with
right, right.
Class Pass, I've been able to use it at Gold's Gym in LA, Hollywood. I've been able to use it here at Crunch
How does that
in
work?
so you buy different packages and you get different amount of points. And points go towards things like classes, the
Mhm.
traditional name of the organization, but it also goes to things like beauty, nail salons,
Mhm.
massages, which cost more points. And then you also have gym time, and which is what I've been using. They take the least amount of points, but it's kind
Oh.
of great because I can be a gym slut, a gym whore, and
Mhm.
try different gyms
Right, right,
and see
right.
new fresh meat all the time. And it's
Mhm.
only takes from 2 to 4 credits each time I go. The
Mm.
best part about it, I feel like I'm their ambassador right now. They aren't a
Yeah, yeah.
sponsor, but maybe I'll try and get them as a sponsor, is that you can use them in different cities. So for someone like me that was in LA recently, back
Mhm.
in New York, and then also going to San Francisco next week, in 1 month, because you buy it for the month, you can actually be able to use it the whole time and switch cities. So it is worth it. And it's been fun seeing some really good inspirational eye candy, checking out the
Mhm.
locker room. The boys are hot,
Yeah, yeah,
getting
yeah.
better workouts. And so, yeah, I just labeled myself a gym whore during this period. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going really well, but we have got a lot of hot topics to get to.
Good.
And yes, I will make if he really is there, I will make him a co-host if he feels like weighing in, but if he doesn't, he can certainly weigh in on any of the topics. But we have so much to talk about, and including Drag Race star Shangela has been in the news in the past, but also recently, and she's been accused of sexually assaulting 5 more people. She was on season 2 and then got eliminated early on. Then she was on season 3 and did better. She was also on All Stars
Mm.
and apparently well loved. But the recent news is that Edward Ramirez, who's 27, claimed that Pierre, who is Shangela's real name, assaulted him after a night out in Texas back in 2018. Rolling Stone's been in the news lately with their exposés.
Mhm.
We were talking about Queer Eye. They did a whole expose on Jonathan Van Ness. Now they're coming back to do it are they coming for our community? What is going on? But Rolling Stone reviewed Instagram conversations between Pierce and Ramirez, and they met at a bar on September 10th and discussed plans to hang out again on the evening of September 11th. And remember, this is in 2018. But Ramirez, who was then 21, said the night of the 11th took a turn out of his control. He actually said he would have actually had sex with Shangela or Pierce. I keep saying Pierre, if he had just asked. But he says that Pierce shoved him into a closet, forced himself on him, Teddy, and that is why he's coming forth now. But again, this isn't the first count of it. This is the 5th count with that Shangela has been accused of sexual assault. When you get these amount of people coming forth, when Rolling Stone is coming after you in an expose,
Mhm.
should we believe this, Teddy, or we need to believe our victims? I believe, and
Mhm.
it doesn't seem like people would be coming for her just willy nilly. Although I don't know. How do you weigh in, and then I'll give a little more thought.
I mean, I think there should be a due process for sure for
Yeah.
Changela. But these accusations are really scary, and within our community, it's very hard to get domestic violence and cases of rape taken seriously because we are a community that is seen as very sex positive, and they use that against us to see, oh well, if you were at a bar, a sex bar, like you could be raped in a bathhouse, like all of these things are possible. And no, consent doesn't necessarily it's an all standing thing because I'm out, I'm consenting to everything you want to do to me. So um I don't know, the accusation seems very serious and serial at the same time. So but I do believe in due process, so let's give Changela a due process, and if these things are true, then the law should take care of it.
Yeah, I agree. They're very hard to prove. And it's interesting when you do hear that Ramirez actually says that they would have probably had sex with Pierce anyway, had they
Hmm.
just asked. And that speaks to what you're saying, consent. And when you don't have consent, Ramirez was only 21 at the time. And I remember myself at 21, and I had a lot of older guys come on to me in ways that weren't in the BDSM style. That, first of all, I didn't even know about BDSM at the time at
Right.
21. I had no experience with any of that. So I remember a couple times being prey to guys maybe taking a little bit more advantage of me than I wanted to, and feeling at times out of like I was losing control of the situation and not knowing how to handle it. So I could see where Ramirez would come out and say I was uncomfortable and this made me feel, and they're now the fifth person. So I do believe in due process, so it's just gonna have to be a story that we're just gonna have to keep following, and I think that's the all we can really say about it. So, Bryce agrees with us watching us live that Rolling Stones is coming for our community, it sounds. But then again, he says, Bryce, our community has the juiciest of stories. A closet, he says, push my ass on the bed. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, something weird about being put back in the closet, which doesn't
Yeah.
sit well
Very
with our
metaphoric.
community. Yeah,
Yeah.
very metaphoric. And what size of closet was this? So, yeah, I don't know. Let's stay on Drag Race, though. The current season, and I'm talking about season 16 with
Mhm.
contestant 16, with contestant Q, who is very talented. I don't know. Are you watching the current season, by the way, Teddy?
But I'm not watching.
Okay,
Sorry.
I am actually watching, unlike our co-host Kodi,
Mhm.
who watches all of them, and I mean all of
Yeah.
them. I typically only watch the current season at hand, maybe an All Stars here and there, but I'm pretty much just stick to the original one. And recently on the current season, which is really good, fashionista frontrunner Q actually joined a group, a growing group that are sharing their status. When I talk about status, I'm talking about their HIV status. And it was a very emotional moment. Other people that have shared their HIV status on Drag Race have include contestants like season 8's Trinity K. Bonet, also UK in 2021, Charity Case with a K shared that they'd been living with HIV since the age of 18. And so now Q, who's 26, was brave enough to be the latest to share. And this is what they said: I am doing something very sentimental for the runway today. Q told fellow contestants, Plain Jane, and others in the workroom as they prepared for the 80s style contestant that they were running for there. And she actually shared, it's inspired, she's seen others share, and it's inspired my generation of gay people that we lost to the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. So it's really special to me to be able to share this. And when I first got my diagnosis, I felt like really lost and I felt like super alone. I tested positive when I was 24. I was mostly scared about how I was going to be treated. And one interesting thing, Teddy, that she shared that I thought was really cool is she says that it's crazy how much people with HIV still have to deal with being treated poorly and how healthcare providers don't always give our community the best care that they should. And she's really fighting for that as well. So I think this is really great because, for one thing, when many of us think that everybody is on PrEP, everybody isn't. When everybody thinks that, oh, is there any more HIV diagnosis going on because PrEP is here and everyone's fucking raw, and it would seem like at worst is an STI that you could just get rid of. No, people are still converting to HIV, and we need to remember that. We need to not shame those that are. We need to still be there for those that are HIV positive, particularly at any age. But the bravery to tell not just your friends, your fellow contestants, but the world, I think speaks volumes and is a good reminder that we still don't have a cure and you still can get it, but there still needs to be empathy, compassion, and the healthcare community still needs to be there for those that are HIV positive. What do you say to Q's saying this?
I think this is great, and I think that not only the contestants sharing their story, but also the show keeping it in the show and highlighting it, because there's many things that happen during the day, so they pick, they curate what we see in the
Sure.
shows. So it's important because now the newly diagnosed people will have somebody to look up and to say, hey, like this person, it's like me. So let me look up their information and all these things, because it's all about our representation and how to get the word out there. And we just have to do it in a very diverse way. Different shows, TikTok, YouTubes, and all these things really help. So snaps for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. Snaps to them. And speaking, let's move on to Paris. The Olympics are coming this
Mhm.
summer, and this is kind of exciting. The Paris Olympics will actually provide 300,000 condoms. So from PrEP to condoms for athletes as a sex ban has been lifted. So they will make 300,000 condoms available to athletes this summer following the lifting of a sex ban that was introduced back during the COVID-19 pandemic. And this, I think, is really great because horny athletes that are working out all day long, have been working out, are amongst other horny, young, really hot bodied athletes, I think is a really good thing. And to think that, oh, they don't have time. I mean, these athletes probably have to get there way ahead of time. Of course, we always think that athletes are just totally, working out and that's it. It's like, no, they got free time too. They need to blow off some steam. And half the time now, football players, everybody has a podcast that they're doing when they're not playing. And sex is really important. It could actually probably help them perform as long as they're not talking about that too much. But I think this, because maybe not everybody is on PrEP, and I think providing condoms, there's also heterosexual, there's
Right,
transgender,
them.
them, and so forth. And so I think this is really good. What did you think when you heard this?
I mean, I heard this before from other Olympics. Famously in Brazil, they run out of condoms on in the area because the athletes were going crazy. And I'm glad that the Olympic teams is getting ahead of it and saying, "Hey, there's something that you need." Remember, some of these people get done early because the last thing is the track and field. So everybody else, swimming, all this stuff, they're done.
They're
So they
on
got
that
2 weeks to
campus.
burn, honey, with a lot of hot people around. Like this is nothing but natural. Yeah, I'm glad they have this resource. Next year is gonna be prep available in the.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool too because I remember when I was younger in the 80s and I was a gymnast, and one year we had a competition to get to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, and I made it. I placed, and
Mhm,
myself and a fellow gymnast from our team were able to go, and it was a week long, all paid. In besides, so one of the two things that were interesting were Santa Fe Springs. There's a reason why they have the Olympic Training Center there is because it's at a higher altitude.
mhm,
Us from California, like we're not doing so great initially with our oxygen, and but you build up your lungs and it will only help you. So that was one thing. The other thing, though, I was thinking of, I was a young, horny high schooler at the time and would have loved condoms floating around because everybody was so hot. I wasn't out at the time, but oh my goodness. Now I just think it would be a great time because while not everybody may be out, a higher majority, I would suspect,
mhm.
are out. I mean, there's plenty. We're going to report on a former Olympic athlete a little bit later on this show that was openly out. There's been divers, on and on and on, that, it would be what a great pooling of, like, to talk about a pooling of people to choose from.
Mhm.
This would be really hot. I would love to be on there. So again, we are live, and Bryce watching us talking about on this topic. He says the reason for 300,000 is because the last time condoms were provided during the Olympics in Seoul, where they provided about 80,000 and ran out. And just to your point of Brazil too. So
Yeah,
yeah, this is good. The least they could provide is those, right?
the least.
Have them in the Olympic colors, a rainbow array of condoms for all. And
Mhm.
absolutely. Okay. Well, this next story I've been looking forward to because it just keeps getting juicier and juicier. Let me get my glasses on to get it right for this one. And I'm talking about Lucas Gage. We all know Lucas Gage from so many shows. My favorite being The White Lotus, but he was a little bit part in Euphoria. He is going to be in an upcoming remake of Roadhouse, which looks really good. Did you know that, Cody? Or excuse me, Teddy?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, really cool. And we just love him. Well, if you remember last year, Lucas was engaged to Chris Appleton. Chris Appleton, just to remind you who he is the hairstylist to the stars. Think Jennifer Lopez, think Kim Kardashian. I just saw him in a commercial today promoting his new hair coloring that you could get both in your house and in the salon. And he's on fire. They're both on fire. Well, they were only together for 2 months, to remind you, last year, and then became engaged to get married after only knowing each other 2 months. And I think the actual wedding lasted 6 months, if at best. And recently, Lucas was on Watch What Happens Live, and you know Andy Cohen, he had to grill him, right? And what
Mhm.
did we finally heard from Lucas? He said, I had a manic episode for 6 months as the 28-year-old. When Cohen asked further questions, what happened? He says, I don't know what went through my head, but we live and we learn. And then, of course, Cohen kept asking and asking, was there cheating? And he said, no, but he also said that they signed an NDA. So a lot of it we'll never
What?
know. And he also said that, he also testifies that he's a very impulsive person. So we finally got an answer out of them. But Chris Appleton, on the other hand, after launching a brand new line of hair coloring, also doing great. I mean, they're both in the public eye again. Chris has been walking around with his hunky new man on the beaches of LA too. It's like not many people walk around the, LA beaches in Santa Monica that I know of, at least when I lived there, unless you're
Yeah.
really trying to, and we're going to talk about hard launch versus soft launch a new boyfriend. And we're going to get into all
Mm.
that. He doesn't seem to care. By the way, he is 40, and I'm talking about Chris Appleton, to 26 is Lucas. And so, what do you think about finally hearing what went wrong according to Lucas and Luca? And then what do you think about, and then we can talk about the soft and hard launching of Chris Appleton.
This is a hot mess. This is like a live Maury Povich. I don't like any of this because these people. The problem is we're not taking marriage seriously, right? Some of us
Right.
are just acting like it's like an extension to dating, and I, as a non-practicer of dating, if I were to practice marriage, I will take it seriously. I famously have gone to so many engagement parties.
Yeah.
So many of them that never resulted in a marriage. But now people are going through the marriage and then getting divorced. I'm sorry, getting divorced within 3 months. What was wrong? Did you know their
Yeah.
middle name at least? Like it just seems very abrupt. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think marriage, I was watching a show earlier today where they were saying, somebody was saying on the show that marriage is overrated. People are really questioning it now. I agree with you. So many people having huge engagement parties. And I can think of two couples in my ethosphere
Uh-huh.
that, where was this marriage? The engagement was such a big
Is
deal.
Kodi one of them?
Cody is not one of them, no. But two other couples that I know, two or three that never really got married. And it was kind of like, I mean, it's their prerogative to do whatever they want. And maybe
Yeah.
they're just always be in that sphere of engagement. And it is a big deal. Who wants to go through all that? I think I think we're kind of seeing the pendulum swing a little bit, that we fought so hard for the equality to be able to get marriage.
Right.
But maybe we're also realizing now that we have it, that it comes with a lot of baggage. Divorce is not an easy thing. You don't want to have to go through that. Settling property and all the drama that can come with when you are married, taxes and having to
Hmm.
file, and all these things that are not pretty and cute, like the engagement party, really come
Right.
into fruition. And so when you realize you could just be with somebody, and if it doesn't work out, you can move on, maybe we're starting to realize, well, we still want that right. It it actually, maybe we don't need to rush to this thing called marriage. But those like that, like this couple that 6 months later, known each other for 2 months, married for 6 months, realized that, oh no, I would lay low a little bit, not with my career, because I think they need to
Mm,
keep working. But let's move on to soft launching and hard launching your
sure.
new beau. And 40-year-old Chris Appleton seems to be hard launching his boyfriend, almost to make a point, if you will, because, like I said, you live in LA County.
Mhm,
He knows he's a celebrity in many fronts. And I don't know, it's not like he was in Fiji or in a beautiful Caribbean island
mhm.
where, okay, maybe the paparazzi caught them there because you're in this beautiful island. You're in Santa Monica. And it's like, that's like a choice to me to walk along the beach in Santa Monica, which, by the way, weather, I was there recently, hasn't been that great. So when was this
Mm.
taken? It seems a little forced. It seems like a forced hard launch. How do you weigh in about the soft and hard launching?
I'm all about a soft launch. I think it's good to, like, slowly introduce people, because in my family or somebody very close to me loves the hard launch, and I'm like, you just started dating this person and now I have to like hang out with them. Like, can we wait out if it sticks or something? I like a soft launch.
Yeah, I think I want a soft launch, but a hard
Mm,
bang. Well, that's, I'm just putting that on record.
yeah, it's
Soft
not soft
launch,
everything for
hard
sure.
bang. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, it just seems so thirsty. Maybe what they're doing is just upload for publicity, and that's just really what it is to them. Um, because back in the day they used to pair you up with people to like fake dates to get on the magazines and things. Maybe that's what they're doing. That's what it seems.
They used to do it a lot for like the term beard, and beard, for those that don't know, would mean they would do it with quote unquote gay actors that really had, okay, Cary Grant, that would maybe be, they wanted them to appear straight, and they would pair them up with an actress and to appear, have them photographed in the tabloids. I'm not sure what the motive for Chris Appleton to be walking on a Santa Monica beach. If I were the new guy, I would
Uh-huh.
say, please don't post me in any of your pictures for a while. While I don't mind dating you right now,
Hmm.
I don't want to post. And I think you're committed by social media land. Once you post that picture like that, that
Hmm.
is, people are he's gonna start a whole new thing. It's like, how long is he gonna be with this guy? And
Hmm.
is he until he's tired of him? And is there rumors to that cheating rumor that Lucas was alluding to? And is it only a matter of time that he's going to dump him, and then there's going to be a new guy? And the third guy, I guarantee it, is going to be like, hell to the N to the O. Do
Hmm.
not post any of my pictures.
Unless it's a professional boyfriend. I met a professional
Oh,
girlfriend of somebody that's
uh-huh.
super famous, and I'm not gonna say their name, but my friend she was like, "Oh, I got paid for like a year and a half to date this person, and we would just go to dinners and things, and she got paid like 200K." And
Wow.
yeah, and but it was like some like an A-lister, so it was just to keep. They're trying to hide the fact that he's gay. He still hasn't come out. So yeah, I'm not surprised if any of that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting too, because I think it was a post, not a story too, where it just goes away
Mhm,
in 24 hours, or at least maybe it was captured, but he knew what he was doing. And I'm a little weird personally with the soft and hard launches.
uh-huh,
And
why?
we need to ask our co-host, Jeremy Ross Lopez,
Mm.
who may or may not have soft launched his new beau.
Oh,
And I'm just
oh,
putting that out there. We will ask him
how
on
sad.
Tuesday's show, because I think I saw something up there that was a post too, not a story. And I think if anything, I would be here for the soft launch, but I'd have to really know. I've also been into
Mhm,
this exploring perhaps polyamory, And what do you do? Do you post both of them at different times? And are they going to get
I
mad?
don't think
I,
that's how it works.
well, I think the polyamory community, that's a little hard to soft and hard launch because it's like, which one are you launching and which one
Well,
is soft?
usually you date one person first.
Well, you could date more than one person in polyamory and have
Yeah, but you're
two.
adding on. You're not like
Oh,
doing
right. You would
the
be with
Kodi
one.
thing at the same time. The six of us date. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's see what Cody says. He says, "I think
Oh,
the hard long, the hard long only works if you've put in the work and your relationship is strong. This seems like it's petty for publicity and launch." Okay, yeah. If you're gonna write it in there, get your grammar right because we're reading it live. But thank you so much for weighing in, and I love that. Yeah, another one
well,
that
he also
launched.
says that it's not good to do a hard launch if you're the third.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Another one that recently hard launched his new relationship is Gus Kenworthy. Speaking of the Olympics, remember he was in the Winter Olympics, and recently he's been posting tons of posts kissing his boyfriend. He posted his last boyfriend, Matthew Wilkus, during the Olympics. And now he's been running around with his new boyfriend, and they're looking really sexy. His new boyfriend has been tagged as Tyler Green, who has a private Instagram page, by the way.
Ooh,
So, but there's all kinds of romantic pictures of him. So, yeah, I think it's interesting the whole soft hard launch. I just love the name. I think it's like hilarious
yeah.
because I love it. But why not? It works. Okay, let's get
Can we
into
talk
some.
about? Hold on. Can we talk
Yeah,
about how alike all these men look like?
they do look a little alike. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I mean, you know, back to Chris Appleton, he looks a
Uh-huh.
lot like his current beau that he's walking in Santa Monica with, but he doesn't look like his former husband of 6 months, Lucas.
Mhm.
So that's the only difference there. Maybe it's the key is you launch the one that looks like you, your twin.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't, yeah, they do look at a little like we need a little color in this soft and hard launching, I think.
yeah. The societal, yeah.
Um, Before we get into some health news, I just want to tell you about our current sponsor and that I'm really loving. It's called Joy Mode, and I'm talking about the Sexual Performance Booster, which is all natural, and you can get this for 20% off plus free shipping. It's been working for me in my workouts, and it's got things like L-citrulline and really good vitamin C things and very great ingredients that help support blood flow. And you just mix it with 6 to 8 ounces of water and 45 minutes before you're going to have sex or a hard workout, and you are good to go. Go to usejoymode.com/tags, TAGS, and use our promo code TAGS, TAGS. So thank you for that. Helping us with our sponsors always helps the show because it keeps us going on. And let's get into some health news. And at the risk for syphilis or chlamydia, are you? Well, there's a PEP for that. And we've been talking a lot about this on this show. And I'm talking about doxycycline. It may be the next frontier for queer men and trans women who are at high risk for getting STIs. Well, many health clinics offer free condoms. Well, you can see the Olympics, but
Mhm.
could doxycycline be the next? And astounding findings on the use of doxycycline, a common antibiotic, were recently announced by the city of San Francisco, where health officials distributed a single dose of the drug to gay and bi men and transgender women as a post exposure strategy to combat sexually transmitted infections. Well, what were the results? Chlamydia and early syphilis were cut in half citywide. Well, the findings in San Francisco come after the Federal Center for Disease Control issued its first guidelines in October for administering it after high risk sex and an approach as DoxyPEP. And final recommendations from the CDC on DoxyPEP should come later this year. Well, I can tell you, Cody, that, or excuse me, Teddy, I
Okay.
wasn't looking at the screen.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm so used to saying, I can tell you that I had a doctor, actually, not my primary care, but I
Hmm.
actually had somebody, Dr. Goldstein, who is the butt doctor. He has a brand new book coming out that we're going to get him on the show called Butt
Ooh.
Seriously, which is all about our butt and gut health and taking care of ourselves, proper cleaning. And he actually recommends prescribed it for me because he knew I was going to be having more sex at the time when I was on the Vakaya cruise in the red light district. And that is when you should really probably take it, according to experts like Dr. Goldstein, not just all the time. You should really take it when you think you've had more of a higher sex turnover. And lastly, there was a recent Reddit thread that says, "What are your general practitioners saying about DoxyPep?" And they said, "I've been debating on switching doctors to someone I was referred to who is a functional medicine doctor. He is a gay doctor. My current GP, who is an MD, is sufficient. He's not great. You're just a number, according to him. And he's not sure that he would even get prescribed it if he was to tell his doctor." And I was telling you offline that I'm going to actually ask my general
Mhm.
practitioner, just run it by him and see if he knows about it and if he would prescribe it, because Dr. Goldstein did. But I think we need to get the word out a little bit more. And I hope if it does get approved later this year, that the information will go to all doctors when they're dealing with their patients. What do you say to this?
I have a question for you. So when they gave it to you, is it just one dose, or did you get like
A supply.
a
And
supply
so
of how many doses?
so he had said, so for example, if I knew, he was just giving me scenarios. So let's just
Mhm.
say I knew I was going to have a lot of sex on Saturday and Sunday, then I would take a pill 78 hours after pre exposure to potential STIs on Monday. And that's
Mhm.
how I would take that dosage. I've been told, we are not doctors here, so please don't listen to everything I'm going to say. I've been
Mhm.
told, and this is not a recommendation, this is just what I've been told, that if the other way to take it would be to take it at the end of a long period of time of a trip, but you probably wouldn't just take one pill at that point. You would probably then take it for an extended period of time. And by extended, talk to your doctors, but just more than say one pill. The one pill is really for after, short period of time, then you would take it 78 hours afterwards for it to be effective.
Mm. And how many do you get?
Well, I was prescribed 30, I believe,
Oh,
to
wow.
so that, but to use as I see fit
As you
during a,
said.
yeah, right. So you kind of have to get your knowledge about how to take it, and then you also have to kind of monitor how it's right for you. The other thing I will
Mm.
say too is I was told by my doctor that it doesn't always do so great with sun exposure. So if you're going to
Right.
be in hot places, you might want to consider that, or definitely, which I do anyways, lather myself with 50. I don't always go in the sun a whole lot, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's true for most of antibiotics, by the way. You're not supposed to be in the sun for
Okay,
antibiotics.
that I didn't know. So
Yeah.
good. Okay, yeah.
So what I think is this is great. I think that's the question is how are these doctors going to be um like willing to give us these prescriptions? I know for myself, when I get sick, if like to get a refill, because sometimes it takes a while for you to get better. Like you have to call, and it's like a whole thing. So I wonder for these things that are clearly to be sexually active, how are they going to react? So I recommend this person that wrote, I hope they change doctors, because it just seems that their lifestyles are not matching, and how they're approaching how he should be behaving is not
Right.
something possible. So um I think this pill is great. I'm thinking, I told you offline that I'm thinking about asking my doctor in April when I have my appointment. And if I can get a 30 pill, great.
I think it's
Sure.
30 pills. I have it over there. I can't leave my stage here, but I
Yeah.
just got it a redose of it.
The summer's coming. It's the only thing I have to say.
Yeah, and the last thing I will say is, as I just read in the actual news story, that based on these trials in San Francisco, there it's and the CDC, that they're reviewing all of this information because STIs are higher,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping more information will come out. Remember PrEP too? It was so like, uh-oh, what does this mean? Are people going to be taking it just to have bareback sex? And then we kind
Right.
of got over ourselves. We got more information. I feel like this will be the same thing too, because there are a lot of people out there that say, I don't want to just be taking, you don't ever want to be taking antibiotics just willy nilly all the time. They could have other effects as well. And so, more information to come, but I would be curious to see what your doctor says. I'm going to ask my doctor to see where we are
Yeah.
at least in our own current hemisphere. And yeah, so let's see what's going on with that. Okay, we have got to talk about this next story that I was pulling up here. What is gooning? Do you know what gooning is, Teddy?
Now I know because I read the article.
You read the article. Well, I will tell you what gooning is, and I actually thought it was a little bit different. This is something that I want to practice more. So essentially, gooning is the act of a short, in short, someone who watches hours of porn and masturbates the entire time, but never allows them to orgasm. So the amount of time spent in masturbation takes them into a trance-like state where the concept of time and space disappears. And such a state is known as goon state, and it's a deeply exploratory experience that's similar to meditation. Gooning is also an extreme form of edging, which is where you continuously, simultaneously stimulate yourself without ever reaching a climax. And I will tell you, Teddy, that you don't just have to watch porn. We've been talking about it on this show. You could do things like Bait World. I think it's called
Mhm.
Bait World, or Dude's Nude, where you can actually masturbate for long periods of time with other people with your cameras on. You don't have to have your cameras on. You can just merely look at people. You can use things like we've been talking about on this show, like Bader Balm, which is highly recommended by my good friend Will of tantricfitness.com, who recommended this, and it's really good. It just allows you to stroke for a really long time, and he was giving me some really good insights that I'm going to start practicing with that, to go for longer periods of time in a without being dry,
Right, right,
meaning,
right.
and to simulate
No
more
chafing.
sex. And you can actually train your masturbation to edge to the almost the point, and then do not release it, like tighten, and then redo the whole like almost 5 times. It can be really good for you. It could help your orgasms. It can actually help you in bed to last longer. And then also, it could mean your cum shots are that much greater because you stored up that much amount and you're training yourself. So instead of people like myself that have been guilty of just quickly 5 minutes dry stroking
Mhm.
and overdoing it, this is training with a thought behind it all. And I just think it's so cool. Gooning also, if you watch a lot of these videos, you can get in a trance-like state. There is music that is behind it sometimes, and people make interesting faces too, because you're getting that closer, and that the whole facial expressions, if you're into looking at people, get really turned on, and
Mhm.
making funny expressions or not, hot expressions as well. That is another part of gooning as well. So I'm all here for it. I would practice. I will be doing it this weekend. I got this
Right.
in LA at Rough. Is it Rough Trade in Silver Lake in your neck of the woods? Think it's Rough Trade that I got this at. That so yeah. What do you think about gooning? And are you here for it? You tell
I
me.
am so here for gooning. Sounds like a good Saturday to me. Um,
Right?
Now
Yeah.
that I'm dipping my toe in the side pool, this
Yeah,
is a
right.
great option of things to do, right? As side person. So yeah, I feel like all of us will have done it at some point. My mm, pandemic times were really filled with this gooning time. So yeah, I didn't know they had that name. Where do you think that gooning come from? I don't know.
I don't know where the impetus for it comes, but there's a question by Bryce, and he says, "Do they
Uh-huh.
mention the blue balls side effect?" And yes, so one of the things that my friend Will says of tantric fitness is that you want to do it like up to 4 times. It's a really good technique for, like I said, many reasons for bigger cum shots. So you could be practicing this during the week up until when you know you're going to have sex, and then be really ready for when you do have sex with that person, that then
Hmm.
you would release it. And there is no recipe for how many times you have to do it. You'll have more benefits if you do it up to 4 or 5 times in a session. And that's why sites like Dude's Nude are a great tool to use, because you can find different inspirations. It could almost be like a date night with yourself, and you're not just looking at porn, you're actually looking at, say, other guys that are live on camera. It was really became popular during the pandemic, of course, but you can always release when you are ready and kind of test yourself to see how your orgasms differ from when you weren't gooning practicing. See
Hmm.
how your tantric, test your energy levels, because tantra in general, as I understand it, gets the energy, the sexual energy flowing throughout you. So that could be a whole nother thing you could explore. But by all means, if you want to at some point then come, allow yourself and then test how is the orgasm as compared to before I was practicing gooning. So definitely release. It's not a means to say absolutely no more releasing at all. And so, yeah. And
Damn.
absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, we have got to give some advice. We love to give advice on this show. Did you have
Hmm.
one in particular that you liked out of our Reddit threads? And
Um, I like the BB one and the men that are not are happier not dating.
okay. So out of those two, pick one and then I'll
Oh,
read it.
one.
Well, we might have time for two.
Let's do the BB.
Yeah, I like that. So, okay, so they wrote on a recent Reddit thread, and we're going to weigh in. By the way, you can always ask us for sex and relationship advice. We are here for you. Simply go to our website, TAGSPodcast.com, or at the end of the show, DM us on any one of our handles, and we are here for you. They wrote, for those of y'all who are not on the random bareback train, how do you cope? I
Mhm.
recently single after a 12-year monogamous relationship, not rushing back into dating, but want to have casual fun. So, of course, I decided to download Grinder. It seems everyone is only into bareback and on prep doxy-pep. This is a perfect one, Teddy.
I know.
And once I mention condoms, I get blocked. Don't get me wrong, I would love to breed a nice ass again ASAP. But yeah, the casual BB scene concerns me a lot. Other people facing the same issues, please tell me I'm not the only one these days, just frustrated and horny, I guess. And so I'm ending it here.
Okay.
So somebody wrote, condoms use is a deal breaker for a lot of guys. I've learned to bring it up as early as possible. I would say this though, I've met guys like when I was on the Vakaya red light district recently, that people that I've also met guys here, and this is in person, not on Grinder. So
Uh-huh.
that asked me at a cruise bar I was at, either we were going home or we did it there, I only use condoms. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I think
Mhm.
in person, less likely to not have a problem with. I think that's why we keep talking about things like HIV is still a real thing. Not everybody is on PrEP. We shouldn't assume everyone is on PrEP.
Right.
That's why the Olympics are handing out 300,000 condoms, because you can still get not only HIV, but STIs. And so you should never feel guilty or bad about wanting to use condoms. You might not have as much luck on the apps, but maybe put
Mhm.
that in put a teeny little story in your headline about that new to this, ready to pound a hot ass,
Mhm.
hope you're okay with condoms, that could change later, and
Right.
maybe you'll see but also go out if you can. Hopefully you're in a city where you could explore a little bit, because I guarantee you a lot of guys will just be like, oh, okay, that's fine, use a condom. Well, how do you weigh in?
Yeah, I think we all struggle with navigating, how fast the dating pool and the hookup scenarios are. And, sometimes we feel like we don't want to use condoms. Sometimes we want to use them because we don't have the time to go to the clinic, etc. So, you know, that's something that it's always going to be there, I think. I, the idea to me is to have grace with it. Yeah. And, you know, just have I think just the fact that he's having these conversations is great. And maybe he can find somebody that will exclusively bear back with him or something like that. But you just have to navigate these things, and we all have our likes and our needs, so you just have to meet people where they are. So
And we're always at
what?
different times too.
Mhm.
So I remember there was a time where I was switching insurance, and it was a period where I didn't get any more dosage of PrEP. And I
Right.
was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Am I not going to have sex? I thought, well, I'll have sex with condoms
Right.
and it'll just be what it is, because I was going to be off of it for a period of time. And I knew you have to build up that resistance again, or at the very least, you then need to do that cycle where, and I don't want to say it because I don't want to get it wrong, but it's like you dose and it's a certain thing.
Mhm.
You also have to have the pills for that too. So when you are eventually going to do that, I mean,
Right.
some clinics out there now provide it. And if you're in major cities, and you could
Mhm.
potentially do that as another option. But I just say be honest. If you're newly broken up with somebody and you're just getting your toes back in, I would just take it slow and be honest about it and get out there more. And the other thing is, I would maybe be on Grinder, because I hear horror stories often on Grinder. I would try some other sites like Sniffies and Scrub,
Archer.
Archer,
Mhm.
where you might not be met with the same backlash that you get on Grinder. So
Right.
yeah.
Great advice.
Yeah, okay. Do we have time for one more? Should we get to thirst trapped?
I have the thirst trap here if you want to do that.
Let's do thirst trap, because I think we have plenty of time for that. We want to give it its due.
Hmm.
Every week, I'm so glad straight up gay porn was threatened by the internet for a minute by somebody trying to take it down, and I'm
Oh,
glad they got it figured out, because what would we be without our thirst trap recap?
where will
This
we be?
Where would we be? And this is where, on an audio podcast, we are faced with the idea to describe on an audio podcast who took the hottest shot of the week, and we have to vividly describe to our listeners. And so this was a decent week, not maybe the
Yeah.
best, I think, but a decent week. I had a couple of them. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
I love Houston, Texas. Cody Allen. um, this boy is like very beefy, which I really appreciate because there's a lot of bones in this one. Let's just say that. Um, and he's scruffy, kind of like very Texas looking. Let's just say that. And
Mm-hmm.
have
Didn't you
and
did you ever live in Texas?
yes, for
That's why I
like
thought I
10
remember
years.
that.
Like
Okay.
so maybe I'm missing the areas. I don't know. And he has a very thick tool. He's very, very, very cute. That's my choice for the week.
He's the one lifting up his tank top, showing off his right nipple, correct? Doing a selfie
Oh,
in the mirror.
no, no, no.
Oh,
He's sitting on a big sofa. He's wearing these Converse, which I appreciate, like a tube socks.
what's his name? Oh, what's
Cody
his name?
Allen.
Oh, Cody Allen. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Cody with the C. Got it. Oh, that's a good one. Really thick thighs
Cody's also my
too.
choice, but he's not in the list.
I love it. We need to get his picture up there.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Ooh, I skipped past him, but now that I see him, I see what you're talking about. I love his expression and I love his cock just out there and those thick thighs are really
Very
hot.
thick, yeah.
Well, mine goes I had a couple of them, but the one that ultimately got my fancy, speaking of gooning, was Hatler Gurius, and he is tatted up completely, and I mean tatted up on his arms, his chest, his legs, and he has an expression
Oh, yeah.
a major orgasmic euphoric state. I mean, one eye is up behind his head, his mouth is open, and the dick is front and center, and it's oozing out cock, much like what would happen, I believe, when you are gooning, because
Mhm.
you've built up so much and it's dripping out. In fact, with gooning, I've been told that you can actually get pre-cum come out of it just a little bit each time. When you start getting really good at it, releasing just a little bit. I feel like he was releasing, and then this is the ultimate. And it is literally oozing from the tip of his really thick cock all the way down, thick, all the way down to his balls. And it's front and center in this picture. And it is giving me life speaking,
Yeah.
and it's on theme of tonight's show with Gooning. And so that's why I vote for him. And do us a favor, I'll post this on Tags Podcast out tomorrow. But if you're watching now, vote for the one that you like, because it only, they'll get the message that, in fact, I'm doing it right now, Hatler Gurius, and then I'm going to
Got
vote.
him voting right now.
And then I'm seeing where Hatler is. Hatler's on is towards the bottom.
Yeah.
Shoot. Apparently people are, well, maybe after they hear this show and they heard us talking about you, who was yours again? Cody, right?
Cody Allen. So talking
Oh
about
my goodness.
Cody, Cody is voting for Eric Ray, which is very gorgeous picture, very well lit. I feel like it's a little bit touched up, but he's like a cowboy, kind of like looking at you from the back so you can really see his ass. He's very good looking. Good choice, Cody.
Oh, I see. I see him now. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's a beautiful ass. And he's nice and oiled up. And he is serving it. My other pick, just to throw it out there. Well, actually, now I see Geo Scar, and he's drenched
Mhm.
in cum too. And that looks messy and yummy. Another one that got my fancy was, and I reached out to him today on Twitter because he's
Oh,
here in New York as a potential collab. I'm sure it won't happen, but
sure.
maybe Seth Kane. And he's serving ass. He's
Mm.
serving a tan line, beautiful feet, and he's looking over his right shoulder, looking really hot too, ready to go. So I love it. And oh my gosh, so much fun. Teddy,
Yeah,
thank you so much for, filling in
of
as you
course.
always do such a
Anytime.
great time. Yeah, this has been so great. Thanks everybody for tuning in to our live show. You can always follow my co-host Teddy on Instagram at Teddy Alexis. Any other ways you want people to follow you? Say them now.
Find me on Twitter too, Teddy Alexis, or YouTube, Teddy Alexis.
Very easy. I love that. Follow
Mhm.
me on Twitter, which you get a sneak peek, and you can get my OnlyFans on there as well. Just go to at Tags Podcast. Couldn't be easier to see my OnlyFans content. Also, follow me on the gram. I am underscore Steve V. Follow Cody. By the way, he has a brand new single called Talk About It.
So
It
good.
is available everywhere you get your music, Spotify, all of them, Apple Music, and of course, uh, all of them. So just go to that and follow him at Mr. Maurice. And in the meantime, Teddy, continue
Mhm.
having hot
Hot, gay,
gay
sex.
sex. Thanks,
Oh!
everybody. Yes, exactly. We did it. Yes. I think I got it.